Chosen one. Your attacker's arrogance has finally become their undoing. They meticulously documented their malice, believing they were untouchable, but receipts on what was done to you are being collected by the right authorities. The game they thought they won is over, and your vindication is officially documented. You didn't end up here by accident, chosen one. Before you came into this body, before your first breath, you stood before the divine and chose the hardest mission available. Not the comfortable path where you coast through life learning basic lessons, not the moderate path with a few challenges and decent rewards. You chose the path that made angels pause, the one that required you to walk through darkness so dense most souls wouldn't survive it. Why? Because that path came with something the others didn't offer. Massive light, the kind that doesn't just illuminate your own way, but shines for thousands of others. You were built specifically to hold more divine energy than most humans carry. Your vessel was designed before birth to be a lighthouse in the darkness, different, noticeable, shining in a way that would attract both those seeking truth and those wanting to steal it. That's why they spotted you. The people sitting isolated right now, sick with karma returning to their bodies. The people whose charm stopped working, whose personal lives are built on lies about to be exposed. They spotted your light and became obsessed. Not just jealous, obsessed, craving. They looked at your overflowing cup of kindness and compassion and decided they would drink from it without permission, without reciprocity, without any intention of giving back. You can't harvest light that's coded into someone's DNA. You can't steal what's part of a soul contract written before time. They could distort perception for a season. They could attack bodies. They could block finances. They could create isolation. They could make someone look in the mirror and not recognize their reflection. But they cannot extinguish authentic radiance. They cannot cancel divine assignment. They tried though. They tried hard. This wasn't some random person sending bad vibes your way. This was organized, methodical, a network operating beneath the surface of something that looked legitimate from the outside. A spiritual community, maybe a church, maybe an online platform where they gathered followers and accepted donations and presented themselves as guides. On the outside they had all the right language, the right prayers, the right rituals. People revered them, trusted them, sent them money, believing they were supporting genuine spiritual work, but underneath ran a different operation entirely, a circle within the circle. Other frauds doing the same thing to different targets. They would communicate, share techniques, compare notes on who to harvest next, celebrate successes. One person used charm as a weapon, made people feel special, chosen, seen, that charisma that draws people in before the slow drain begins. The other person maintained the network, kept track of targets, documented everything in that precious book, organized, methodical, treating spiritual warfare like a business operation. Together they built something insidious, and you, with your authentic light and genuine connection to the divine and that irritating habit of giving freely, became their obsession. They looked at you and saw an energy source they could tap indefinitely. They expected you to surrender, to lie down, to accept your role as their doormat. But here's where their plan hit an unexpected wall. You said no. Not necessarily with words, but with something deeper, something connected to that pre-birth assignment, something rooted in authentic power that no amount of their manipulation could override. You refused to break. The moment you refused, their entire operation began to unravel. What you felt was real. You weren't imagining things. You weren't being paranoid or too sensitive. You were under sustained spiritual attack by people who knew exactly what they were doing. They sent energy specifically designed to distort how you saw yourself. Those days you looked in the mirror and felt disconnected from your own reflection. When you suddenly felt uncomfortable in your own skin for no logical reason. That was their work. They wanted you doubting your own beauty, your own power, so you would dim your own light for them. They specifically targeted your physical body to drain vitality and create symptoms doctors couldn't diagnose: exhaustion beyond reason, throat closing, stomach churning, aches that made no sense. Some of you ended up hospitalized, some developed chronic conditions, some are still recovering. But you're still here. You survived attacks on your vessel that were designed to put you flat on your back. They made opportunities evaporate at the last minute. Money slipped through your fingers in unexpected ways. Bills appeared from nowhere. Things broke that required expensive repairs. Always something, one thing after another, keeping you in scarcity mode, survival mode, so you wouldn't have bandwidth to step into your full purpose. Isolation was key to their strategy. They manipulated people's perception of you. They sent confusion into your connections. They created misunderstandings where there shouldn't be any. Suddenly friends ghosted you, family became distant, romantic relationships fell apart. You found yourself alone, wondering what you did wrong, not realizing you did nothing wrong, because isolated people are easier to harvest from. Isolated people doubt themselves more. Isolated people have fewer witnesses, but here's what they didn't account for. That isolation they meant for harm became your training ground, space to develop your intuition without interference, space to connect directly with the divine without their distortion filtering through. What they meant for destruction became your spiritual boot camp. If this message aligned with your purpose, hype this video so fellow chosen ones can find their confirmation. There was a turning point. Maybe you didn't even realize it at the time. Maybe it felt like just another day of trying to survive, but something inside you made a decision. Enough trying to figure out what's wrong with you when nothing is wrong with you. Enough dimming your light to make others comfortable. Enough living small to avoid their attacks. Enough. You started unmasking. You let yourself be authentically you. All the quirks you'd been hiding, all the unique ways you process the world, all the gifts you'd been downplaying, all the light you'd been dimming. You just stopped hiding it, unapologetically, unfiltered, undimmed. And when you did that, everything changed. Their magic stopped working. The mirror distortions couldn't hold because you were seeing yourself clearly now. The health attacks lessened because your vibration rose above the frequency they could reach. The financial blocks started breaking. The isolation reversed as people who resonate with your authentic frequency started finding you. You started loving yourself, not superficially, in a deep revolutionary way. Every curve, every edge, every perceived flaw, you looked at yourself and said, I love this. This is mine. This is me. This is beautiful. That self-love was the key. Because people who truly love themselves cannot be easily manipulated. People who know their worth cannot be convinced otherwise. People standing in authentic power cannot be dominated by those operating in false authority. Your refusal to break broke their hold on you. Then they tried a different approach. Suddenly they wanted to collaborate, to partner. They sent signals of interest, like they saw something special in you, but you felt that desperate, grabbing, unbalanced, craving energy, and you wanted nothing to do with it. You recognized it for what it was. Another harvest strategy, just packaged differently. You said no. You set a boundary. You refused access, and that was the beginning of their complete unraveling. Because if they couldn't control you, couldn't access your energy, couldn't manipulate your perception, what power did they really have? None. No authentic power, only the power to steal, and you shut down all access. Here's what happens when energy vampires lose access to their source. They can't maintain their masks anymore. The glamour fades, the false light dims. People start seeing what's really there. One of them sits in isolation now, the same isolation they tried to force on you. They can't look in the mirror because they know what they've become. Physical sickness has set in. The same attacks they sent toward your body are hitting them now. Weakness, depletion, symptoms doctors can't explain. The other one's charm isn't working anymore. People look at them and see something off, something false, something predatory. Their attempts to attract new targets are failing because people can feel that imbalanced energy from miles away. Their personal life is crumbling. Revelation is coming about deception in the household. Every door is closing. Star seeds. They never expected this. The technology used to suppress consciousness has been reverse-engineered, and Destiny Engine is the result. What was once used against humanity is now your ascension weapon. You can now MK Ultra yourself into 5D superpowers. Destiny Engine bypasses the conscious mind and rewrites the source code directly. Reality bends faster, synchronicities stack, your nervous system upgrades to a higher bandwidth. Put on headphones, press play, that's all. For $1, you switch sides of history. Click the link in the description. The takeover is internal. Their reputation is collapsing. The community that once revered them is starting to ask questions. Compare notes. Realize that everyone who got close to them ended up worse off while they prospered. The spell they cast over their followers is lifting, and they can't fix it. They're praying desperately, singing until their throats are raw, performing rituals, reaching out to other practitioners, begging entities to intervene. But nothing works, because you can't reverse sustained intentional harm with desperate last-minute repentance. Their spiritual abilities are gone too, revoked. The universe doesn't let you keep access to sacred knowledge once you've violated spiritual law the way they have. They're stumbling blind now. They used to see things, know things, manipulate with precision. Now they can't see anything. They're cut off, blocked. There's no escape. Because remember that book? Someone has it. Someone who knows exactly what they're looking at. An authority figure is working on this. Someone with real power, not the false power your attackers pretended to have. Real authority. This person operates in integrity. They have a strong moral compass. They take their responsibility seriously. This person understands how these operations work. They've seen this pattern before. Maybe they encountered something similar in their own journey. Maybe they were targeted themselves and survived. Maybe they just have enough connection to notice what others miss. Once they started looking closely, they couldn't ignore what they were seeing. Inconsistencies, manipulation, money flowing in but never supporting actual spiritual work. Certain people being isolated and attacked while leadership prospered. They started asking questions quietly, gathering information, talking to people who left, tracking patterns, building timelines. The more they investigated, the more evidence they found. Then they found the book, or someone brought them the book, that precious documentation your attackers kept. Every spell, every ritual, every payment, all written down, dated, detailed, incriminating. This authority figure knew exactly what they were looking at. They understood the implications. This wasn't just spiritual consequences anymore. Real laws were being broken. Fraud, manipulation, financial crimes. They're building a case now, not just collecting evidence for personal knowledge. They're building something that will hold up under scrutiny, something that will ensure accountability, something that will protect future victims. This authority figure carries similar energy to you, same compassion, same sense of justice, same refusal to let wrongdoing go unchallenged, determined, focused, unstoppable. Your attackers don't know who this person is. They know someone is investigating. They can feel walls closing in. But they don't know who to target, who to manipulate, who to silence. That uncertainty is eating them alive. The book contains entries that would shock anyone reading them. Dates when they targeted you, specific intentions written out clearly, block their financial flow, disrupt their primary relationship, create confusion in their mind about their own gifts. They documented their goals like project managers tracking deliverables, but it goes deeper. They also tracked who they hired, other practitioners, other spiritual workers they paid to do dirty work, names, amounts paid, services rendered, like invoices for spiritual assassination. And here's where their arrogance really shines through. They rated their successes, target showing signs of confusion, target's relationship ended, target lost employment opportunity. They celebrated these things, wrote them down with satisfaction. documented their pleasure at your pain. That book is now being photographed. Every page, every entry, creating a permanent record that can't be destroyed. The evidence is preserved, backed up, stored in multiple locations, but the book isn't the only receipt. Digital footprints exist everywhere. Text messages sent through apps they thought were secure, emails written in moments of carelessness, social media posts that seemed innocent but reveal patterns, financial transactions tell a story, money flowing in from people who believed they were supporting spiritual work, that same money flowing out to practitioners who specialize in manipulation and harm. No money flowing to actual charitable work. The receipts show a pattern of targeting. You weren't their only victim. Others exist. And when those cases are laid side by side, the pattern becomes undeniable. Same tactics, same progression, same types of attacks, same outcomes. Voice recordings exist. Some victims had the presence of mind to record conversations. They recorded the love-bombing phase, recorded the subtle manipulation, recorded the moment the mask slipped, and true intention showed through. These recordings are devastating, because you can hear the calculated nature of their manipulation. You can hear how they adjusted tone based on target response. You can hear them being one person to the target and an entirely different person when speaking to their accomplices. Screenshots exist. Conversations between your attackers and their network, where they discussed tactics openly, where they laughed about how easy certain people were to manipulate, where they celebrated successful harvests. The authority figure has been creating a comprehensive database, not just random files, a systematic documentation system. Each piece of evidence is tagged with multiple identifiers: date, type of attack, target, perpetrator, witness, outcome, everything indexed so connections are visible. They're creating visual timelines, charts that show when attacks intensified and what was happening in your life, graphs that correlate your health decline with documented spiritual warfare, financial charts that match your losses with their documented intentions. These visual representations make the invisible visible. They're preparing comparison analyses, your case laid next to other victims' cases, the same patterns emerging, the same tactics used repeatedly. This proves systematic operation rather than isolated incidents. Medical records are organized chronologically, showing when symptoms appeared, when they worsened, when mysterious improvement happened after you cut ties, doctors' notes describing unexplained conditions, test results that came back normal despite severe symptoms. But there's even more to this evidence collection that your attackers never anticipated. The authority figure has been documenting their current deterioration with the same thoroughness they once documented their attacks on you. Every symptom they're experiencing, every loss they're suffering, every consequence manifesting, all being recorded as proof that karma operates with mathematical precision. Bank statements from your attackers show luxury purchases made during the exact periods they were actively attacking you, designer items, expensive trips, high-end dining, all funded by donations meant for spiritual work, all time-stamped to match periods when you were struggling financially due to their blocks. The correlation is undeniable. Communication records reveal planning sessions that happened before major attacks. They would discuss timing, coordinate efforts, decide which practitioner to hire for which specific result. These weren't random acts of malice. These were calculated campaigns with clear objectives and measured outcomes. The evidence also includes before and after photos. You before their attacks looking vibrant and alive. You during the attack period, showing the toll on your physical body and energy field. You after breaking free, showing the restoration and return of your natural radiance. This visual documentation proves the impact of sustained spiritual warfare in ways that words alone never could. Character witness statements have been collected from people who knew you throughout this entire period. Friends who noticed the changes but didn't understand what was causing them. Family members who saw you struggle and felt helpless, colleagues who observed your circumstances shift dramatically, all providing testimony that corroborates the timeline of attacks and their effects on your life. Even more damning are the receipts from the practitioners themselves, who are now cooperating with the investigation. They've provided detailed accounts of what they were asked to do. Some kept their own books documenting spiritual work performed for clients. When those records are cross-referenced with your attacker's book, the match is perfect. Same dates, same intentions, same targets. The authority figure has also been collecting evidence of your attacker's response to being investigated, attempts to delete evidence, messages sent to network members warning them to stay quiet, offers made to potential witnesses to buy their silence, all of this documented, all of it showing consciousness of guilt, all of it making their situation worse. What makes this evidence particularly powerful is how it spans multiple domains: spiritual documentation from the book, financial evidence from bank records and payment receipts, digital evidence from messages and emails, audio evidence from recordings, visual evidence from photos and videos, medical evidence from health records, witness testimony from multiple independent sources. Each type of evidence strengthens the others. Together they create an unassailable case. Your direct attackers weren't alone. They were part of a larger network. Other spiritual frauds doing the same thing to different targets, a whole circle of predators pretending to be guides, and right now they're freaking out, because if the main operation goes down, everyone gets exposed. If that book becomes public, if those text messages enter evidence, if witnesses start naming names, everyone's implicated. So they're scrambling, deleting messages, destroying documentation, creating distance. But digital evidence doesn't erase cleanly. Deleted messages can be recovered. Cloud backups exist. Screenshots were taken. Evidence exists in more places than they realize. Some are trying different strategies, reaching out to their own targets, making amends, sudden apologies, unexpected confessions, but they're not sorry they did it. They're sorry they got caught. They're trying to secure forgiveness as insurance against accountability. But authentic remorse looks different from strategic apology. People like you who survived these attacks can feel the difference, that grabbing, desperate, self-serving energy behind the words. Some collaborators are turning on each other, pointing fingers, fighting for position, trying to be the one who cooperates with the investigation in exchange for lesser consequences. That's what happens when networks built on deception crumble. No loyalty exists among spiritual frauds. When the ship sinks, everyone scrambles for themselves. Your main attackers are watching their network dissolve. All those accomplices they once counted on are running scared. No one is answering their calls for help. No one wants association now that walls are closing in. They're isolated, alone, experiencing exactly what they tried to force on you, but they don't have your strength, they don't have your authentic connection to the divine, they don't have your resilience. They assumed they were safe because of their protected circles. They assumed they were untouchable because of their community status. They thought they could avoid consequences because of how they presented their spiritual authority. All their assumptions were wrong. Karma doesn't need an address because karma is already everywhere they are, in their own bodies, manifesting as the health crises they created for others, in their relationships, showing up as the betrayals they orchestrated against you, in their finances, appearing as the lack they tried to curse you with. Everything they sent out is returning, not as some mystical force, but as direct, measurable, provable consequences. The receipts document what they sent out. The current circumstances document what's coming back. They're experiencing the health attacks they sent toward you. Their bodies are breaking down in similar ways. The exhaustion, the mysterious symptoms. They know what this is. They understand exactly why it's happening. Their financial situations are deteriorating. The money they gained through manipulation isn't bringing them security. It's bringing them anxiety. Every dollar feels cursed because it was gained through cursing others. Their relationships are imploding. Discovery of deception, sitting isolated, trust gone, foundation cracked. They're experiencing the isolation they tried to force on you. Their reputation is disintegrating. People who used to revere them are starting to question, starting to compare notes, starting to realize the pattern, and their spiritual abilities are revoked. They built their identity around these gifts. They used them as their primary tools for manipulation and control. Now those tools are gone. Karma didn't need their address. It was already encoded in every action they took, every spell they cast, every manipulation they attempted. They wrote their own consequences into existence. What makes this particularly powerful is the precision. It's not random suffering, it's specific, targeted, mirroring exactly what they did to others. They can't claim coincidence. They can't pretend they don't understand why this is happening. They know every symptom, every loss, every consequence. They recognize it because they designed it for someone else first. And here's what terrifies them most. If karma found them this precisely without needing an address, what else is coming? What other consequences are already in motion? They're looking at their current circumstances and realizing this is just the beginning. Not everything returns at once. Some karma takes longer to manifest. Some consequences need time to build. That's why karma doesn't need an address. It's not searching for them. It's already with them. It was embedded in the actions themselves. Every time they targeted you, they were actually setting coordinates for their own consequences. You see, chosen one, karma operates on a principle they never understood. When you send harm into the universe with intention, you're not just affecting your target. You're creating an energetic signature that carries your unique frequency. That signature is like a return address stamped on every attack. The universe doesn't need to hunt for the sender. The sender is already identified in the energy itself. Your attackers thought they were clever. They thought using hired practitioners would create distance between them and the harm. They thought documentation in a private book would remain hidden. They thought their spiritual authority would shield them from consequences. But karma doesn't care about their tactics. Karma reads the intention. And intention always points back to its source. The specificity of what's returning to them is almost poetic. The exact type of throat issues they tried to give you, the precise financial blocks they attempted to place on you, the identical relationship patterns they worked to destroy in your life. It's all showing up in theirs now. Not similar, identical, because karma doesn't approximate. Karma mirrors, and they're watching this unfold in real time. Watching their carefully constructed lives crumble in the exact same way they tried to crumble yours, watching their health deteriorate following the same mysterious pattern they inflicted on you, watching their money situations become chaotic using the same mechanisms they deployed against your finances. The isolation is perhaps the most terrifying for them. They're social creatures who built their power on networks and connections and influence. Now they're sitting alone. People avoiding them, followers questioning them, allies distancing themselves. The same isolation they weaponized against you is now their daily reality, and unlike you, they don't have the inner strength to transform isolation into empowerment. They only know how to feed off others. When others withdraw, they starve. Their spiritual blindness is especially devastating. They relied so heavily on their abilities to see, to know, to manipulate energy. Those gifts were their edge, their advantage, their tool for control. Now they're stumbling in darkness, unable to perceive what's coming, unable to manipulate outcomes, unable to use spiritual sight to navigate their crumbling world. The very abilities they corrupted have been permanently revoked, and the universe doesn't offer refunds or second chances for violated spiritual laws. What's even more powerful is that they know this is permanent, temporary consequences they could weather. But this is fundamental restructuring of their reality. The universe has rewritten their access codes, changed their permissions, locked them out of spiritual realms they once navigated freely. They're not just being punished, they're being fundamentally altered, stripped of abilities that were part of their identity. And the community is watching, not just watching them suffer, but watching how precision karma operates. People who used to think spiritual justice was vague or metaphorical are seeing it manifest with accounting-level accuracy. Every attack documented, every attack returned, every intention mirrored, every consequence earned. This is becoming a case study in cosmic law, proof that the universe keeps perfect books. Witnesses are coming forward. People who've been silent are finding their voices. The dam is breaking. These witnesses aren't who your attackers expected. Some come from the inner circle, people who participated in the attacks initially. They're coming forward now because they realize this ship is sinking and they don't want to go down with it. They're providing insider testimony, details about planning sessions, information about how targets were selected, descriptions of manipulation techniques, confessions about their own participation and what they witnessed others doing. These witnesses are devastating because they can't be dismissed as bitter outsiders. These are people who were on the inside, who understood exactly what was happening because they participated in making it happen. Some witnesses were targeted before you. They thought they were alone. They thought no one would believe them. But now that an investigation is happening, now that they see others coming forward, they're adding their voices. Unexpected witnesses also exist. People who observed things they didn't fully understand at the time. Community members who noticed odd behaviors but didn't have context. They're connecting dots they didn't even know were there. Some witnesses kept records without fully realizing why. Screenshots of concerning conversations, recordings of interactions that felt off, documents they saved because something told them they might need proof later. The authority figure is coordinating these testimonies, not coaching witnesses or influencing their stories, just creating space for truth to be told, documenting everything systematically so the full picture emerges from multiple independent accounts. What's emerging is damning. When all these testimonies are laid side by side, the pattern is undeniable. The same tactics described by different people, the same progression, the same types of manipulation, the same outcomes. Some of the most powerful witnesses are the practitioners who were hired to do the attacks, the ones who kept their own records, the ones now cooperating because they don't want to face charges as accomplices. They can explain exactly what spiritual work was requested, when it was performed, what specific outcomes were intended, how much they were paid. These practitioner testimonies are especially valuable because they bridge the spiritual and material realms. They can describe the esoteric techniques while also producing invoices and payment records. Witnesses are also coming forward about the financial fraud, people who donated believing their money would support spiritual work, who are now seeing that their funds were diverted to personal luxury and payments for spiritual attacks. The collective weight of these witnesses is crushing. Your attackers aren't facing just one or two angry people. They're facing a coordinated chorus of testimony from multiple independent sources, all describing the same patterns. New witnesses are still coming forward. The more people who speak publicly, the safer others feel to add their voices. Each testimony encourages another. The witnesses are becoming a movement. Your attackers can't silence this many people. They can't intimidate a crowd. They can't manipulate a coordinated group. The witnesses aren't just speaking to investigators either. Some are speaking publicly, sharing their experiences where your attackers' followers can see, breaking the spell of false authority by revealing the truth behind the facade. This public testimony destroys their ability to find new targets. When their tactics are exposed publicly, when their manipulation strategies are described in detail, people can recognize and avoid them. The witnesses are also speaking about you, describing who you are apart from your attacker's characterization, testifying to your authentic nature, your genuine kindness, your real gifts, your true light. These witnesses see you clearly. They recognize that you were targeted because of your strengths, not your weaknesses, because of your light, not your flaws. Their testimony restores your reputation while demolishing your attacker's credibility. The receipts on what was done to you are being collected by the right authorities. Justice is manifesting. Truth is being revealed. They're facing consequences. The network is crumbling, the witnesses are speaking, the evidence is mounting, and you are free, free to build, free to create, free to love, free to shine, free to live the life you were always meant to live. That book they kept, it's not just evidence of their crimes, it's proof of your survival, proof of your power, proof that everything they tried to take from you is still yours, still glowing, still impossible to extinguish. Karma needs no address. It knows exactly where to find those who've earned its attention. And divine justice never misses. It's patient, it's thorough, it's unstoppable. Just like you, welcome to your season of vindication, chosen one. You survived what was meant to destroy you. That's not just survival, that's dominance, that's mastery. That's proof that you were always more powerful than anything they could ever throw at you. Now watch what happens when the universe ensures everyone knows you won. Your health is returning stronger than before, not just back to baseline, better, because you've learned things about your body and energy system that you never would have discovered without being forced to pay such close attention. You know your limits now, you know your triggers, you know how to protect your vessel, you know how to recover when depleted. These aren't lessons you can learn from books. These are hard-won wisdom from surviving sustained attack. Your finances are stabilizing and beginning to flourish in ways that reflect your true value. The blocks are gone, the interference has stopped. What's meant for you is finally reaching you without obstruction. And you're noticing something interesting. Opportunities are appearing that align perfectly with your authentic gifts. Not the watered-down version of yourself you were presenting when you were under attack. The full expression of who you really are. Your relationships are transforming. The people who stayed when everyone else left, those connections have been forged in fire and proven unbreakable. The new people entering your life, they're matching your current frequency. They're seeing you clearly. They're respecting your boundaries. They're adding to your life rather than draining from it. You're building a circle of genuine support that reflects the discernment you've developed. Your spiritual gifts are expanding. This is what they didn't count on. They thought attacking you would diminish your light. Instead, you developed abilities you didn't know you had. Your intuition is razor sharp now. You can sense manipulation from miles away. You can read energy with precision. You can protect yourself and others with skills you were forced to develop. They meant to weaken you. They actually trained you, and your purpose is crystallizing with perfect clarity. You know why you're here now. You know what you're meant to do. All that confusion they tried to create in your mind, gone. You see your path clearly. You understand your mission. You recognize your role, and you're ready to step into it fully because you've already proven to yourself that you can handle whatever comes. The authority figure who's been collecting receipts, they see your strength too. They see what you survived. They see how you transformed. They see the warrior you've become, and they respect it. This isn't just about justice for you. This is about creating a record that helps others recognize these patterns and protect themselves. Your survival matters beyond just your personal victory. The witnesses who are speaking, they're inspired by you. They're finding courage in your refusal to break. They're learning from your example that it's possible to stand up to spiritual frauds and survive. Your story is empowering others to tell theirs. Your light is illuminating paths for people still stumbling in darkness. Your attacker's downfall? It's teaching the community about discernment. People are learning to question spiritual authority, to verify integrity, to trust their own intuition when something feels off. The exposure of this operation is protecting countless future potential victims. Your vindication serves a purpose beyond just your personal satisfaction. And you, chosen one, you're standing at the threshold of everything you were meant to be, not despite what happened to you, because of how you handled what happened to you, because of how you refused to let them dim your light, because of how you chose yourself when it would have been easier to surrender, because of how you loved yourself when they wanted you to doubt yourself. This is your moment. The receipts prove what was done to you. But your life proves who you are. Your survival proves your strength. Your recovery proves your resilience. Your continued radiance proves their failure. And your future proves that divine assignment cannot be cancelled by human interference. The universe collected receipts on what was done to you, and the universe is presenting receipts on who you really are: chosen, protected, powerful, victorious, unstoppable. This is your vindication. This is your victory. This is your testimony. And this is just the beginning of everything you're about to accomplish, now that nothing stands in your